Hello, this is Bob Joyner, and welcome to the Afternoon Spy, the 5-day challenge. So glad that you're with us, and I hope that this is going to be an exciting week for you. What's in front of us now is the first video in a series of 7 videos, as promised in the initial webinar. Mentioned that I was going to do 7 days of training during this 5-day challenge. So you'll have an email each day with a link to a video such as this one each day. And sometimes there will be PDFs, so there may be a PDF each day actually. So I hope that you enjoy this process. The first video in the first screen up is starting small and building your account. And this is the 5-day challenge, day 1. So let's go ahead and jump into the slides here and just let me share some of my thoughts with you. But the overarching theme of this lesson, of this day 1 lesson, is that even though you have seen proof that you can grow an account, you can actually double a small account in one afternoon by using this method. It's not going to happen every day, obviously, as I also said in the webinar. And the other thing is that you have to, some traders get wide-eyed when they see stuff like that, and they think, well, I'm going to be rich. And you get your calculator out, and you double your account every day, and you see how quickly you can become a gazillionaire. Okay, it doesn't usually work like that for a variety of reasons. But the best way, as this slide says, is just starting small and building your account. So let's go ahead and jump into the slides here. I'll just give you a few of my thoughts. And the first thing up is, are you a pattern day trader or not? So that's a pretty serious consideration. If you're a pattern day trader, then you're going to have an account that's over 25 grand. You're going to have the ability to use margin with your trading, and all that makes a huge difference. On the right side there, you could have a cash account because you do not qualify as a pattern day trader and you have no access to margin. In either kind of account, you can trade options as day trades. The thing is this: with a pattern day trader, you're not limited to the number of option trades that you can make in one day. With a cash account, you're going to be limited to 3 day trades per week, basically. But there are ways around that too. So we're going to get into that. So down on the bottom on the pattern day trader, one of my comments is this: money and margin are great tools in the hands of an experienced trader who has shown consistent success in one or more markets, but it's a curse if you use that money before you know what you're doing. Okay. And then underneath on the cash account side, there's a real benefit to being forced to start small. You respect the money a bit more. You're more alert because you know you can't afford to have a big losing trade. So start small and build from there. Either way, in my view, the best way is to start small and build up from there. One idea of thinking about this is that your account is kind of like a grocery cart. And if you're a pattern day trader, then you probably have this one big account that everything kind of pulls out of. But even so, if you're able to, depending on your broker, if you're able to segment a separate account or just start a separate cash account with a different broker, that's another way to go. So the other idea is to have multiple grocery carts or multiple accounts. So you might consider a separate options account from your larger account if you're a pattern day trader, just to kind of keep things segmented and to keep your focus correct. You can also consider multiple smaller accounts if you're operating in a cash-based account. So just a brief idea on that one. Let's say you have only $500 to start, and that's your first cart here. Well, let's say that over time you can grow that account and now you have 2 $500 accounts. Well, your choice might be to leave all that money in that first account and use larger positions, equity positions per options trade. The other idea might be to take part of that money and put it into a separate account, a second account, a different broker, where you can also have 3 trades per week with that broker. And as far as I know, there's no regulations to say you couldn't have 3 or more of such small accounts trading a cash account, the options trade, and give you more room to move in the market. So those are just a few considerations there. The initial goal is to start small and build your account over time as you grow in expertise and confidence. And that's just going to happen over time. If you're not used to trading options like this, uh, then buckle up. It's going to be a very interesting ride. I think you'll find it fascinating as we look at the charts together, and as I walk you through the last hour of the trading day each day. But you're going to get more acclimated to my charts, more acclimated to looking at my charts perhaps on one screen and your option chain on another screen, and navigating those two screens. It's not real difficult. It's not difficult at all, but obviously you're going to become more comfortable doing that after you have done it for a week or a month or 2 months, right? So the idea is to start small and then let that small account build so that you're not risking much equity in this before you know what you're doing. And that's the idea of this 5-day challenge. And of course, if you want to stay with us over time, that's the idea behind the whole group here of trading SPY options together. Some of you have seen these slides before, but um, the two variables of equity and time, the reason I say to start small, most new traders or most traders who don't have a lot of experience doing what they're doing, this is more like what their account looks like over time. Is their equity kind of, they have great run-ups, at times, and everything's going super, and then all of a sudden they fall off a cliff. They held the trade too long, they didn't set a stop, whatever, and over time their account just kind of fluctuates with no real pattern to it. Other traders simply don't have a proven strategy in hand, and they love trading, but they don't really know how to be good at it. They don't have patterns on the charts that they're following. They're perhaps not disciplined in following those, but oftentimes it's just the fact that they don't have a strategy in place that is clearly defined about when to get into the trade and when to get out of the trade, how to place stops and all that kind of stuff. So this is the more typical pattern for many traders. They may love what they're doing, but they may not be making much money at it. So this is the chart of what we're hoping for you to achieve, and what you're probably hoping to achieve is that over time your equity grows in your account, right? Is that over time you're making money, you're not having any big dips down when things level off. That's okay, but you're not having a big retracement in your equity position because you've learned how to position your equity, and reduce your risk. And all that training is coming up, of course, in these videos later. One of the other things we talked about in the initial video was the fact that a trader all by themselves has to juggle so many different things. Finding the best thing to trade right now, develop a strategy, risk analysis, equity positions, and how much money do I use, take the trade, manage your self-talk. Should I get out? Should I stay in? Manage the trade itself. So there's a lot going on there, and hopefully, as I've said in the webinar, that we'll be able to remove some of those things from your plate and allow you to focus more on trade management and the psychology of trading and that sort of stuff without having to worry so much about strategy development and chart interpretation and market interpretation. So, day one homework. Yes, you have homework. So I'd suggest you get out your calculator and spend a few minutes with these questions. You don't have to write them down. There should be a PDF link to these questions so that you can print them out for yourself. I'll just go over them with you real quick and explain them to you. Spend some time thinking about your accounts, your grocery carts. How do you want to set that up? Okay, you don't have to make a decision today, but start thinking about how you want to do that. I may have given you some ideas you hadn't thought of before. Question number 2 there is, how long are you able and willing to wait to see results? If you are strapped for income and you're hoping that this is going to be an immediate income producer for you, then your time horizon for creating equity growth is going to be shorter. Let's say you just got fired from your job. Well, you're going to have to dig in with a lot of time and a lot of study in order to get this mastered as quickly as possible, right? Okay, so your time is going to be compressed about when you need to make some results happen. Whereas if, let's say you're retired and you don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, right? But you do want to make some money in the afternoons. Well, then the intensity of your time and your focus and your study may not be as much as some other people. So your time horizon about when you expect to make some good money from this may be different from the person who just lost their job, let's say. Okay. So what is it for you? Question number 3, are you ready to start using real money, and how much? So you may have been trading options already. I strongly encourage you this first week, and I said this in the webinar as well, and one of the reasons I made entrance into this 5-day challenge so cheap, so inexpensive, is that I want you to be able to just paper trade and just focus on the charts. Have the charts that I'm going to show you, listen to my analysis in the chat room, do that on one screen, look at your option chain while you're doing that on the other, and just paper trade. Now, if you've got more experience, you've been trading options for multiple years, and that's going to be a different story for you. You're already used to doing that sort of thing. But if you're new to this, I strongly encourage you to paper trade until proven profitable. Question number 4 is how much are you willing to lose in one day? And the way I describe that in the PDF, the bracket there is that what is your comfort zone related to losses? If you lose $100 in one day, are you comfortable with that? Okay. Or if you lose $1,000 in a day, are you comfortable with that? Okay. So what is your comfort zone in terms of losses? Because that's an important thing when we go into the training about how to reduce your risk. That training is going to be very important based on what your comfort zones are. Okay. The next question after that is when I make a certain amount of money per day, or I make a certain return on investment per day, do I start getting nervous? Where is that line for you where you start to get nervous when you make too much money? Most people have a line there because of their relationship with money. So try to think that out a little bit in your previous trading. Where do you start to get a little bit nervous? And what a lot of traders do, by the way, is that they exit the trade based on that comfort zone that has nothing to do with the chart. Okay, which means they don't have confidence in their charts and in their strategy. It could mean that their relationship with money is a little bit, because they've been burned too many times, and so they tend to take profit too quickly because they've seen the market go against them. They've seen a trade go against them, okay, and burn them, so they tend to take profits too quickly. Okay, as I showed you in the webinar, the longer webinar, the potential for making great gains is huge, but not if you exit the trade too quick. You're not going to make 100% ROI in a day ever if you start freaking out once you make 25% ROI. So one of the things that will hopefully happen over time is that you will expand your idea of what your comfort zone is. Okay, and hopefully what you'll do is you'll constrict your comfort zone as far as what you're comfortable losing in the market, but you'll expand your comfort zone in terms of what you're able to make in the market. And yes, it's possible to do both. Okay, the last question on the list there is, what is a reasonable financial goal for your options account in 6 months? And that's, I don't know what it is for you, but where would you like to be in 6 months? What do you think is possible? You talked about in that first question, we talked about how much is in that initial options account, and that of course will build over time, hopefully, as your expertise grows. So in 6 months, where do you think is possible? And just write that down. You're not going to share the answers to any of these questions with anybody in the group. It's for you or for your significant other to discuss, perhaps. But primarily, I would say you look at it and you make your decisions about where you think all these answers lie, and apply them, and just give some time thinking about it, is all I'm asking you to do. And with the initial goal, like I said, start a small account and let's grow it over time. All right, together. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.